Hello, and welcome back to Sleepy Science Tales. Tonight, as you start to relax and unwind from the stresses of the day, allow yourself to be transported to a world that is completely your own. You're floating toward the Amazon rainforest, a place that many call the lungs of the world, but which is, in truth, more like a living library of mysteries, rhythms, and life. Let yourself wander gently through this softly unfolding landscape. Picture the canopy first, that endless green horizon stretching farther than the eye can follow. The Amazon's canopy forms a continuous roof of leaves and branches so intertwined that sunlight filters through in tender, broken beams, dappling the forest floor like a moving mosaic. It is a ceiling made of life, built layer upon layer over millions of years, and standing beneath it feels like standing under a cathedral carved entirely by nature's hand. You slowly glide forward, imagining the warm air surrounding you. It's damp but soothing, carrying faint scents of earth, wood, and distant rain. The Amazon's humidity holds sound in a special way, softening the world into gentle echoes. You can hear the rhythmic call of insects, the quiet flutter of wings, the tap of a frog landing on a leaf, and the deep, low rumble of water moving somewhere unseen. The Amazon rainforest stretches across 9 countries in South America, but most of it, nearly 60%, lies within Brazil. The rest spreads across Peru, Colombia, Venezuela, Ecuador, Bolivia, Guyana, Suriname, and French Guiana. It covers nearly 7 million square kilometers, forming the largest rainforest on Earth, a green ocean of trees so massive that even satellites struggle to capture its entire expanse at once. When people say the Amazon, they often imagine a single forest, but it is really a vast network of forests, rivers, floodplains, mountains, and ecosystems woven together like a tapestry. Beneath the towering canopy is the understory, a dim world where the light is softer and the air stiller. Here, plants grow broad leaves to capture every stray sunbeam. Moss blankets tree trunks. Fungus fans out in wide, sculpted shapes. Vines twist like ancient ropes. Every inch is covered in some form of life. Many animals in this layer are built for shadows, jaguars moving silently, sloths drifting slowly from branch to branch, and countless birds whose colors seem to glow as though illuminated from within. As you drift deeper into this imaginary journey, you might picture the Amazon River itself. It flows for more than 400 kilometers, carrying more water than any other river on Earth. In some stretches, it becomes so wide that standing on one bank means the opposite side disappears into the horizon. In the wettest months, the river expands even further, flooding surrounding forests and creating vast flooded basins called vazia forests, places where trees stand ankle deep, waist deep, or even chest deep in water for months at a time. Fish swim between trunks. Pink river dolphins glide through submerged branches. Birds hunt from perches that sit just above the waterline. Imagine those pink river dolphins for a moment. They're gentle creatures with long, narrow snouts and flexible necks that allow them to move between tight roots and submerged branches. Their soft color comes from layers of blood vessels close to the surface of their skin, and in the dim light of the Amazon's waters, they sometimes look more like shifting spirits than animals. Many local stories describe them as shapeshifters or river guardians. Whether viewed scientifically or culturally, they're among the most enchanting animals in the rainforest. Glide forward a little further, letting the details flow around you. The Amazon rainforest is home to around 10% of all known species on Earth. More than 40 000 plant species have been recorded here, along with thousands of birds, insects, amphibians, and mammals. Some scientists estimate that millions of species still haven't been discovered: tiny insects, microscopic fungi, and plants that hide their secrets in remote corners of the forest. Each new expedition reveals something unexpected: a frog no larger than a fingernail, a flower that blooms only once every few years, a butterfly with wings patterned like stained glass. And then there are the giant trees, the kapok trees, which can reach heights of more than 60 meters. Their trunks rise like pillars, thick and smooth, holding up the canopy with quiet strength. Standing at the base of one feels like standing at the foot of a monument, carved not from stone, but from time itself. Roots spread outward in dramatic buttresses, creating natural walls that echo sound and shelter small animals. Some trees are so large that entire ecosystems exist just within their branches, hosting orchids, bromeliads, and even miniature forests of moss. The forest floor beneath them is surprisingly calm. Because so little light reaches this layer, fewer plants grow here. Instead, fallen leaves, twigs, and fruit cover the ground in a soft cushion, decomposing quickly in the warm humidity. Tiny creatures, termites, ants, beetles, break down everything that falls, recycling nutrients back into the soil. If you were to walk through this layer, you'd hear soft crunches, gentle rustles, and the faint whisper of insects moving beneath your feet. The Amazon is also a place of remarkable cultural richness. More than 400 indigenous groups call parts of the rainforest home, each with their own languages, traditions, histories, and ways of understanding the natural world. Some communities live in remote regions with limited contact with the outside world, maintaining lifestyles shaped by the rhythms of rivers and seasons. Many possess deep knowledge of medicinal plants, animal behavior, and ecological patterns, knowledge passed down through stories, rituals, and careful observation across generations. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine drifting down one of the Amazon's countless tributaries in a small wooden canoe. The water is dark but reflective, mirroring the sky and the canopy. The paddle dips quietly, creating ripples that widen and fade. Along the banks you might see caimans resting, motionless except for the slow blink of their eyes. You might hear howler monkeys calling in the distance, their voices deep and resonant, carrying through the forest like rolling thunder. You might see blue morpho butterflies drifting by, their wings flashing bright blue, like tiny pieces of sky floating through the shadows. As the night deepens, imagine lying gently in a hammock near the forest edge. Crickets chirp, frogs sing in layered rhythms, fireflies pulse in and out of sight like drifting embers. The Amazon at night feels as if the forest is breathing, inhaling the cool air, exhaling warmth, whispering stories through rustling leaves. It is a place where life never pauses, yet somehow everything feels unhurried. Everything moves at a natural pace, unforced and unbroken. The deeper you travel into this rainforest, even in imagination, the more you sense its complexity. Roots wrap around ancient stones. Water flows through channels carved over centuries. Animals adapt to niches so specific that they seem perfectly crafted for their surroundings. This delicate balance is what makes the Amazon so extraordinary, not just its size or its age, but the way every component fits together like an ever-evolving puzzle. Let yourself drift a little further, breathing slowly, feeling the gentle rhythm of the forest settle into your thoughts. Every sound, every leaf, every creature exists within an interconnected world that stretches far beyond what we can easily see. The Amazon rainforest is not just a place on a map, it's a living, breathing story, one that continues to unfold with every passing moment, inviting you to explore, to imagine, and to rest. As your thoughts settle into an even softer rhythm, imagine continuing deeper into the forest, where light becomes a gentle shimmer rather than a glow. The Amazon's interior can feel almost dreamlike, as though time stretches and slows the farther you drift into its green embrace. Every step, or every imagined step, reveals another layer of life, another detail that has been unfolding quietly for thousands of years. Let your mind linger on the forest's incredible diversity for a moment. Scientists often describe the Amazon as one of the richest biological reservoirs on the planet, and not just because of its size. In a single square kilometer, you might find more than 1,000 different tree species. Each one holds its own tiny universe supporting insects, mosses, birds, fungi, and flowering plants that depend on it intimately. A single tree can become an entire world, sheltering dozens of species that rarely touch the ground. Some branches hold miniature pools of water, called phytotelmata, where tadpoles grow and dragonflies rest. Others cradle delicate orchids with petals so thin they seem almost woven from sunlight. The Amazon's soundscape is a gentle symphony. During the day, the forest hums with steady movement. Cicadas drone in long, slow waves. Parrots call to one another from high above, their voices echoing like distant bells. Tiny tamarin monkeys leap between branches with soft rustles, their small bodies moving with effortless agility. The deeper you go, the more layered the sounds become, until each rustle, each distant cry, each quiet flutter blends into a chorus that feels almost like nature's version of a lullaby. If you imagine looking up through the canopy, you'll notice how the leaves form a kind of shifting kaleidoscope. Sunlight filters through in fractured patterns, making the forest glow in gentle patches of gold and green. Some beams reach all the way to the ground, highlighting clusters of fungi that shine like little lanterns. Others catch the wings of butterflies, turning them into flashes of sapphire, emerald, or amber. Even standing still, you feel as though the forest is moving around you, leaves trembling, branches swaying, insects weaving invisible trails through the air. Drift a little farther and picture the forest's hidden waterways. Beyond the mighty Amazon River, tens of thousands of smaller tributaries carve paths through the landscape. Some are narrow and swift, cutting through the earth in twisting channels. Others are wide, calm, and glassy, reflecting the sky in perfect mirrors. Many of these rivers change color depending on the soil and vegetation around them. Whitewater rivers carry sediment and minerals, giving them a pale, almost milky color. Blackwater rivers flow through forests rich in decaying plant matter, turning the water deep and dark, nearly coffee-colored, but crystal clear beneath the surface. There are also clear-water rivers, which sparkle with a blue-green clarity that reveals fish gliding gently below. As you float along one of these imagined waterways, you might notice the riverbanks alive with movement. Capybaras, the world's largest rodents, often gather in groups, lounging in the shallows. They're calm animals, with soft reddish-brown fur and gentle dispositions, and watching them graze or slip into the water feels remarkably peaceful. Above them, the branches might hold a troop of squirrel monkeys, their tiny hands gripping vines as they chatter to one another in playful bursts. Their energy contrasts the calmness below, creating a delicate balance of stillness and motion. Now imagine drifting into a region where the forest begins to rise and fall in subtle waves, the upland areas known as terra firma. These regions don't flood like the Vazia forests. and as a result, their soil and vegetation differ in fascinating ways. The trees here often grow taller and straighter, supported by deep roots that anchor them into the earth. Walking through terra firma feels different from the flooded forests. The ground is firmer, the air slightly less damp, and the sounds more open, as though the canopy has lifted just enough to let voices travel a little farther. Among the animals that roam these upland regions are tapirs, shy, gentle creatures with rounded bodies and soft, moist snouts. Though they may look unusual, they are incredibly agile swimmers and often move between different parts of the forest at night. Many indigenous stories describe tapirs as creatures that carry the secrets of the forest in their quiet footsteps. Whether symbolic or scientific, their presence adds to the dreamlike atmosphere, as though they glide between paths that only they can sense. The Amazon also hides species so rarely seen that they almost feel mythical. The jaguar, for example, moves silently through the forest, its golden coat marked by dark rosettes that blend perfectly with light and shadow. Jaguars are powerful and solitary, often resting in trees or near the edges of rivers. Their deep, steady breathing blends seamlessly into the rhythm of the rainforest. Seeing one in the wild is considered a moment of rare fortune, but imagining one calm, poised, and watching from a branch adds a sense of awe to your journey. Continue drifting, and the world around you becomes an intricate dance of color and motion. The Amazon is home to more than 300 species of birds, each with its own story. Scarlet macaws paint streaks of red and blue across the sky as they fly in pairs. Harpy eagles, among the most powerful eagles on Earth, nest high in massive trees, raising their chicks in secure fortress-like branches. Tiny hummingbirds hover around bright flowers, their wings beating so quickly that they create a faint, shimmering hum. Some species are so small they weigh less than a teaspoon of sugar, yet they navigate the forest with perfect precision. If you let your thoughts wander deeper, you might begin to notice the smaller details, the ones easy to overlook, but remarkable in their own way. Leafcutter ants, for example, form long, winding trails along the forest floor. Each ant carries a piece of leaf many times its own weight, moving with determined steadiness. These ants don't eat the leaves directly. They use them to cultivate a type of fungus inside their underground nests. Thousands of individuals, each with a specific role, work together to create a thriving colony. Watching them feels like observing a miniature world with its own rhythms and secrets. Above the ants, bromeliads cling to tree trunks, collecting tiny pools of rainwater in their cupped leaves. These small reservoirs become entire microhabitats, hosting insects, frogs, and sometimes even small crustaceans. In some parts of the Amazon, the poison dart frog uses these bromeliads as nurseries, carrying tadpoles on its back and placing them gently into these natural water bowls. Such behavior, delicate and precise, feels almost like a whispered lullaby from the forest itself. As you float further along this peaceful imaginary journey, the forest begins to reveal another layer, its connection to ancient history. Archaeologists have discovered traces of long-lost settlements beneath the canopy, including geometric earthworks, road networks, and structures that hint at thriving communities that once lived in harmony with Cha, the land. Many of these findings remained hidden for centuries, covered by thick vegetation. Modern scanning techniques have only recently unveiled them, revealing that the rainforest story includes civilizations that shaped the landscape in ways still being studied today. Let the thought of that mystery settle over you, that beneath the living forest lies another world, one built by human hands long ago, now intertwined with roots and soil. It is one of the reasons the Amazon feels so timeless. Its history stretches back far beyond what we can easily imagine, blending natural evolution with human ingenuity in a soft, intricate pattern. Now picture the forest at dusk. The light dims into deep greens and violet shadows. Birds settle into branches. Night creatures begin to stir. The air grows cooler, thicker, and filled with the gentle tremble of cicadas beginning their nightly chorus. Fireflies drift through the twilight like floating embers, blinking in and out of existence. Slowly, the forest transforms into something quieter, softer, and more mysterious. As the night deepens, the Amazon reveals sounds that belong only to darkness. Frogs call from hidden puddles with melodic chirps. Owls glide silently through the trees, their wings making no sound at all. A distant splash may reveal a caiman slipping into the water, or a river dolphin surfacing for a breath. These nighttime rhythms are steady and calming, like nature's version of a heartbeat. And through it all, you remain gently adrift, held by the stories, the textures, the rhythms of this endless green world. There is no rush here, no urgency, just the slow unfolding of detail after detail, each one guiding you a little deeper into relaxation. As your thoughts settle even further, imagine descending into the forest's deeper layers, the places that rarely see the touch of sunlight, where every breath of air seems older, denser, and filled with stories waiting quietly in the thea. Shadows. The canopy above still sways in gentle motion, but down here the world feels almost still, as though the forest is holding its breath just long enough for you to notice the delicate details that shape its hidden heart. Let your mind wander toward the forest floor again, this time focusing on how everything here is part of an endlessly recycling loop. Fallen fruits, decomposing leaves, bits of bark, seeds, shells, and tiny pieces of wood form a soft carpet underfoot. It looks simple from a distance, like a quiet bed of earth, but in reality, it is alive with movement. Countless insects work tirelessly to break down whatever falls. Beetles bore into fruit. Millipedes curl around rotting stems. Earthworms aerate the soil with silent determination. Some species of termites construct towering mounds that rise like miniature skyscrapers above the ground, each chamber and tunnel carefully engineered for airflow, temperature, and moisture. The forest floor may be the quietest part of the Amazon, but it is also one of the most active. Beneath the surface, networks of fungi stretch in branching pathways, delicate threads connecting roots, sharing nutrients, and forming invisible communication lines between plants. Scientists sometimes refer to this as a kind of underground network, helping trees support one another in ways that still feel almost magical. Even though we understand it scientifically, imagining it a hidden, glowing web beneath the earth gives the forest a deeper sense of unity. As you drift deeper into this imagined world, picture one of the rainforest's most graceful residents, the giant river otter. These sleek animals move through water with smooth, effortless sweeps of their tail. They hunt in groups, communicate with chirps and whistles, and glide through streams with remarkable coordination. Their fur shines like polished bronze under soft light, and their alert eyes follow every movement around them. They are playful, intelligent, and deeply connected to their surroundings, often building dens along muddy riverbanks, where they raise families and watch for passing fish. The rivers themselves become characters in your journey, each with its own personality. Some flow gently, whispering against smooth stones. Others surge with loud, powerful currents, carving new channels through the forest. Many tributaries wind through dense vegetation in twisting patterns, turning the forest into a labyrinth of hidden waterways. If you imagine traveling along one of these narrow streams, you might brush past overhanging vines, drift beneath tangled roots, or glide through tunnels formed entirely by interlocking branches above. Along these riverbanks, enormous freshwater fish live in steady motion. One of the most impressive is the pirarucu, a giant of the Amazon that can grow longer than a human is tall. It has scales the size of coins, shimmering in bronze and silver tones, and surfaces with quiet power to gulp air. Watching one move beneath the surface feels like watching an ancient creature that has glided through these waters for ages. Continue drifting, and you'll find yourself in one of the Amazon's more unusual ecosystems, the Ikapo forests. These are the blackwater-flooded forests, where the water rises slowly and silently during the wet season, lifting fish into the heart of the forest. Trees adapt to this change by developing special structures that allow them to survive months of submersion. Branches become resting places for fish-eating birds. Roots become hiding spots for small turtles. The boundary between land and water fades away, turning the entire world into a soft, glimmering reflection of shifting light and quiet ripples. As the forest transforms through these seasonal rhythms, so do its inhabitants. Many Amazonian creatures time their behaviors to the rise and fall of the waters. Some fish spawn when the rivers swell, using the newly flooded areas to lay eggs safely away from stronger currents. Birds plan their nesting around these cycles, knowing when certain fruits will ripen or when fish will be most abundant. Even insects emerge in harmony with these changes, creating synchronized patterns that ripple through the food web like a gentle pulse. Let your imagination slow even further as you picture the rainforest during one of its frequent rain showers. Rain in the Amazon rarely feels harsh. Instead, it begins as a soft whisper, building slowly into a delicate curtain of water. Raindrops fall through the canopy in shimmering threads, each drop catching tiny fragments of light as it falls. Leaves bend gently under the weight of the water before releasing it in quiet drips. The air cools slightly, carrying the scent of fresh earth and damp bark. Thunder rumbles far away, softened by the layers of trees. Even the animals seem calmer during these warm rains, moving in a rhythm that mirrors the falling droplets. After the rain passes, the forest glows. Mist lingers between trunks like drifting silk. Sunlight returns in thin, golden rays that illuminate suspended droplets, making them sparkle like tiny hanging stars. Tree frogs begin to call again. Birds shake their feathers, releasing miniature showers of water. It is a moment of renewal, soothing and quiet, as though the entire rainforest has been gently refreshed. If you lift your eyes toward the canopy again, imagine climbing one of the massive trees with your mind's eye. Up and up, past layers of vines, orchids, bromeliads, moss, and clusters of climbing plants. The air grows lighter as you climb, and the colors brighten. Reaching the top reveals a panorama of uninterrupted green stretching far beyond the horizon. Huge trees rise like islands in a sea, each crowned with branches that host entire worlds. From this height, you might spot macaws flying in pairs, or see a group of spider monkeys swinging effortlessly from branch to branch. Their movements are fluid and coordinated, as though the trees were made specifically for them. Spider monkeys are among the rainforest's most agile creatures. With long limbs and a prehensile tail that acts like a fifth hand, they move with gravity-defying ease. They forage for fruits, nuts, seeds, and flowers, shaping the forest through their feeding habits by dispersing seeds across long distances. Their presence reminds you of how deeply interconnected everything is, how even small actions ripple across the entire ecosystem in ways both visible and invisible. As the day unfolds in your imagination, picture another extraordinary resident of the canopy, the sloth. Though well known for its slow pace, the sloth's movements are deliberate, precise, and adapted perfectly to this world of branches and leaves. Its fur hosts tiny organisms that give it a faint green tint, helping it blend seamlessly into the foliage. Moving only when necessary, sloths conserve energy and remain hidden from predators. Sometimes they stay in the same tree for days, resting quietly, breathing softly, and becoming part of the forest's stillness. Let your thoughts drift toward the forest's medicinal plants. The Amazon is known for its astonishing botanical diversity, and many of its plants carry unique compounds used for healing. Indigenous communities have developed knowledge of these plants over countless generations, learning how to prepare roots, leaves, and barks into remedies for various ailments. Some plants are used to soothe fevers, others to ease discomfort, and still others to support long-term well-being. This deep knowledge forms part of the Amazon's cultural richness, a tapestry woven from observation, tradition, and an intimate connection to the land. Further into the forest, you may imagine stumbling upon a clearing filled with enormous palm trees. Their fronds stretch outward like giant green fans, creating pockets of shade where birds rest and insects gather. Many palm species produce fruits that sustain animals throughout the year. Brazil nuts, for example, come from towering trees that depend on particular pollinators, large-bodied bees capable of opening the flower's tightly sealed petals. Without these bees, the trees cannot reproduce. Without the trees, certain animals lose essential food sources. Once again, the rainforest reveals its delicate, interlocking nature. Let your vision drift back to the rivers. Night along the water feels different from night within the forest. The air cools more quickly. Stars reflect on the surface like floating constellations. Some nights, the moon shines so brightly that it turns the river into a wide silver path. You can imagine drifting along quietly, hearing only the soft splashes of fish at the surface or the distant croak of frogs. Every now and then, a ripple breaks the stillness, the unmistakable sign of a dolphin rising for air, its smooth skin catching a glimmer of moonlight before disappearing again. As the night deepens, your thoughts move gently with the flow of the river. A soft breeze rustles through the leaves. Fireflies drift in delicate patterns above the water. Somewhere in the distance, the rainforest continues its quiet conversation, insects calling, nocturnal birds singing, branches creaking in the soft wind. It is a world that never truly sleeps, yet it holds the perfect rhythm to guide you into calmness. The Amazon is vast, but even in imagination it feels personal. A place where every sound, every movement, every gentle detail invites you to slow down, breathe more deeply, and drift a little further into peace. Whenever you're ready, we'll continue the journey exploring the Amazon's hidden creatures, mysterious regions, unusual plants, and the soft, ancient stories woven through its endless green landscapes. As your thoughts continue gliding through this world of endless green, imagine the forest beginning to open into one of its most enchanting realms, the places where the land rises just enough to create new textures, new shadows, and new voices in the canopy. The Amazon may seem uniform from afar, but up close it reveals a mosaic of microworlds, each shaped by subtle shifts in elevation, soil, and water. Even a few meters of difference can transform the landscape, creating habitats that feel distinct yet seamlessly connected. Picture yourself drifting into an area where the trees grow slightly farther apart, letting more light slip gently through the canopy. These small variations give rise to pockets of flowers, delicate bursts of color nestled among the green. Some orchids bloom high above the ground, their petals curling in elegant spirals, glowing in soft pinks, whites, and purples. Others cling to branches like quiet ornaments, opening only in the early morning or just after a gentle rainfall. The Amazon is home to thousands of orchid species, many of which are still being discovered. Some are so tiny they could rest on a fingernail, while others stretch wide, filling the air with faint scents of vanilla, citrus, or honey. Alongside the orchids, bromeliads form clusters that hold small reservoirs of water. These natural pools, suspended in the air, become safe havens for tree frogs and their tadpoles. Some frogs are brilliantly colored radiant greens, yellows, oranges, or blues, while others blend so perfectly into the bark that you might miss them even when staring directly at them. Their calls create a soft, echoing melody during the evenings, each species chiming in with its own rhythm. Listening to them feels like uncovering a quiet chorus layered into the fabric of the rainforest. Now imagine moving through a stretch of forest where the ground rises just enough to stay dry year-round. These upland regions often host towering trees with thick trunks and sprawling branches that form vast, layered networks of life. Caciques and oropondolas, two types of birds known for their elaborate woven nests, often gather here. Their nests hang like long, teardrop-shaped baskets from the branches, swaying gently in the breeze. Each colony can have dozens of nests clustered together, forming a bustling community where birds chatter, call, and flutter in a constant dance of activity. Watching them feels like observing an entire village built among the branches. As you continue wandering through this softly unfolding forest, imagine encountering a quiet clearing lit by the filtered glow of the sun. In this clearing, small mammals graze or move gently through the underbrush. One such animal is the agouti, a shy creature with sleek fur and delicate movements. Agoutis play an important role in the forest by burying seeds for later, inadvertently helping to spread the next generation of trees. Their careful rhythmic digging and soft footfalls add to the subtle soundtrack of the forest floor. Near the clearing, a troop of tamarin monkeys might pass overhead. These small primates leap between branches with remarkable precision, using their long tails to balance effortlessly. Their playful energy contrasts softly with the calmness below, yet even their motions carry a kind of gentle harmony. Tamarins often live in family groups, communicating with high-pitched chirps that echo lightly across the canopy. Their expressive faces and curious eyes make them feel like quiet storytellers of the trees, moving from fruit to flower to branch in an endless journey of exploration. Deeper into the forest, you may imagine entering a region where the trees grow thicker, their roots rising into winding formations. This root-filled landscape creates pockets where rare animals find shelter. One such animal is the armadillo, a creature known for its protective shell and slow, deliberate movements. These nocturnal wanderers forage at dusk, using their keen sense of smell to locate insects beneath the soil. Their presence adds a quiet, grounding rhythm to the forest's nighttime world. And then there are the creatures that seem almost otherworldly, like the glass frogs that dwell near streams. Their skin is translucent, revealing faint outlines of their internal structures. At night, under the soft glow of moonlight filtered through leaves, they appear like tiny, living jewels, perched on branches or resting on broad leaves near the water's edge. Their delicate calls blend with the babbling of small streams, creating a lullaby woven from water and sound. Let your thoughts drift toward one of the Amazon's most captivating groups, the butterflies. With more than 7,000 species recorded, the rainforest's butterflies form a cloud of color that shifts and changes with every breath of wind. Blue morpho butterflies glide through sunbeams with wings that shimmer in iridescent booze, their color produced not by pigment, but by microscopic structures that bend light in mesmerizing ways. Other species boast bright yellows, deep reds, intricate patterns of black and white, or eye-shaped spots meant to confuse predators. Watching them glide feels like watching pieces of the sky drift through the trees. Follow them, and you may find yourself arriving at a stream where dozens of butterflies gather in one place, a phenomenon known as puddling. They gather on damp soil or mud, absorbing minerals from the ground. The air becomes a soft dance of fluttering wings, rising and settling like a gentle tide. It's one of the Amazon's quiet wonders, happening in places so remote that only a few people ever witness it firsthand. As the day continues in this imagined journey, the forest gradually warms and the air thickens slightly with humidity and scent. Notes of fruit, flowers, damp bark, and earthy roots blend together into a gentle fragrance that feels soothing, comforting, and ancient. Many of the Amazon's fruits mature during the warmest parts of the day: guava, cupuaçu, cacao, acai, and countless others. Birds and animals feed on these fruits, their movements spreading seeds through the forest and ensuring the cycle of life continues. Think of cacao for a moment, the plant from which chocolate originates. It grows naturally in the Amazon basin, producing pods that cradle precious beans. For centuries, indigenous communities have cultivated and harvested cacao as part of their traditions. The beans have been used in ceremonies, drinks, and as valuable trade items. Today, the cacao plant remains as much a cultural symbol as a biological gem, reminding us of the deep ties between the forest and the people who live within it. As afternoon begins its slow descent toward evening, imagine the light shifting again. Sunbeams slant through the canopy at gentler angles. Shadows lengthen, softening the forest's contours. Parrots begin returning to their roosting sites, filling the air with flashes of green, red, and blue. Their calls grow more frequent, echoing across the treetops in vibrant bursts as they settle in for the night. In this twilight atmosphere, the Amazon reveals yet another layer, the slow emergence of nocturnal life. Moths unfurl their wings, gliding silently between flowers that open at dusk. Some of these flowers bloom only briefly, releasing soft fragrances meant to attract night-flying pollinators. Bats flit between the blossoms, their wings beating in quiet pulses that blend into the evening air. Many Amazonian bats help pollinate the forest, carrying pollen from flower to flower in the dark, continuing a cycle that has unfolded for countless generations. As night settles deeper, imagine the distant call of a nightjar, a bird known for its soothing, repetitive songs. Its voice blends with the trilling of insects, the croaks of frogs, and a subtle rustle of leaves stirred by nighttime breezes. These layered sounds create a lullaby that feels both ancient and eternal, echoing through valleys, over rivers, and across densely wooded hills. Now picture yourself moving upward again, this time reaching the forest canopy under moonlight. The treetops glow faintly, illuminated by soft silver light filtering through drifting clouds. Here, nocturnal monkeys begin to stir, species like the night monkey, whose large reflective eyes gather every hint of available light. They move gently through the branches, communicating with delicate clicks and chirps that seem to float in the still air. Their presence adds a whispering calmness to the forest, a reminder that life here continues quietly, even in darkness. Down below, tiny glowing fungi dot the forest floor in places. Some mushrooms emit soft greenish light through bioluminescence, creating faint constellations beneath the trees. These glowing patterns offer glimpses of the forest's hidden beauty, details that remain unseen unless one slows down enough to notice. As your thoughts drift through these serene nighttime scenes, remember that the Amazon's rhythms unfold in layers, some bold, some subtle, all interconnected. It is a place where motion often looks like stillness, and stillness hums with life. A place where every sound, every shadow, every breath of wind carries the soft memory of millions of years of growth. As your thoughts drift further into this gentle green world, imagine reaching a region where the Amazon begins to reveal its most mysterious landscapes, faces less known, less photographed, and often untouched by all but the smallest traces of human presence. Here, the forest deepens into layers of quiet so profound that even the air seems thicker, holding sound in a soft, suspended hush. Picture yourself walking along a faint trail, not a man-made path, but one created by the slow, steady movements of forest animals. Tapirs may have wandered here. Deer may have brushed past leaves, leaving small openings in the vegetation. You follow this natural path, imagining the soft soil beneath your feet, cushioned by years of fallen leaves. Every step feels slow, measured, and deeply peaceful. Ahead, the trees shift in shape and texture, revealing one of the Amazon's most ancient giants, the Brazil nut tree. These trees are some of the tallest in the rainforest, rising toward the canopy with straight, pillar-like trunks that can reach more than 50 meters in height. Their branches form broad crowns that collect layers of moss, vines, and epiphytes. The fruits they produce are large, round, and incredibly tough. So tough that only one animal has jaws strong enough to crack them open, the agouti. This small, shy rodent plays a crucial role in dispersing the seeds, burying them as hidden caches that sometimes sprout into new trees. In this way, each agouti becomes a quiet gardener of the forest, shaping the next generation of the Amazon's towering guardians. Let your imagination drift upward again, picturing the canopy from a bird's-eye view. The treetops spread out in an endless sea of green, broken only by occasional flowers blooming in bursts of color, bright reds, yellows, whites, and blues. From this vantage point, you might spot toucans moving between branches, their vibrant beaks glowing like painted crescents against the leaves. Their calls echo through the morning air, a mixture of croaks and clacks that seem almost playful. Toucans often travel in small groups, hopping between fruit-laden branches and tossing food into the air before swallowing it. Watching them feels like observing a colorful dance woven seamlessly into the forest's daily rhythm. As you float above the canopy, imagine gliding toward a region where the land rises slightly into ancient geological formations. These are the Tepui's towering sandstone plateaus, found in the northern reaches of the Amazon basin. They rise suddenly from the forest like immense flat-topped mountains, covered in mist and crowned with ecosystems that exist nowhere else on Earth. Some tepuis host plants found only on their isolated summits, including carnivorous species that capture insects using sticky leaves or pitfall traps. Exploring these peaks feels like stepping into another world, a place lifted above time itself. But your journey gently guides you back downward, returning to the forest floor where soft ferns and delicate flowers create intricate patterns. Ferns thrive in the Amazon's filtered light, unfurling their fronds in slow spirals. Some grow waist-high, while others stretch even taller, forming green corridors through which butterflies drift in lazy arcs. Their movement adds a sense of calm continuity, as though the forest itself is breathing along with you. As you move deeper into this serene world, you may imagine encountering the eerie beauty of strangler figs. These trees begin life as tiny seeds dropped by birds high in the canopy. Over time, their roots grow downward toward the ground, wrapping around the host tree in twisting patterns. Eventually, they form a lattice of woody beams that fuse together, creating a hollow column once the original tree decays away. Walking through a mature strangler fig is like stepping into a natural cathedral, a tall, living structure shaped entirely by time, light, and growth. Nearby, lianas' thick woody vines hang in long arcs from tree trunks and branches. Lianas are among the most remarkable climbers in the rainforest. They begin as small plants on the forest floor and climb upward using sunlight as their distant guide. Some stretch more than 100 meters long, twisting and looping in elegant curves that link trees together like suspended bridges. Animals use them as pathways, swinging, walking, or scampering across these natural ropes. Even the slightest movement sends gentle vibrations through the vines, creating delicate echoes that ripple through the forest. Let your thoughts settle now on one of the Amazon's more secretive residents, the ocelot. This small, graceful cat moves through the underbrush with a deliberate softness that makes it nearly invisible. Its patterned coat blends perfectly with dappled light and leaf shadows. Ocelots hunt at dusk and in the early hours of the night, stalking rodents, small birds, and lizards with affable patience. Though powerful in their own right, they embody the silent elegance of the Amazon, stepping with the calm confidence of creatures fully attuned to their world. As evening light deepens, imagine the forest beginning to transform once again. Crepuscular creatures, those most active during twilight, emerge gently from their resting places. Capuchin monkeys descend from high branches to forage for insects and fruits along lower limbs. Their nimble hands open seed pods, peel bark, and sift through leaves. Capuchins are among the most intelligent primates in the rainforest, often using tools to crack open hard fruits or extract hidden insects. Watching them move with deliberate curiosity adds an extra layer of wonder to the forest's daily unfolding. In the shadows nearby, you might imagine the soft glow of bioluminescent beetles drifting between branches. These small insects flash gentle pulses of light as they communicate, attracting mates or signaling their presence. Some flash in synchronized patterns, creating shimmering constellations that hover just above the forest floor. The Amazon's nighttime world is filled with these tiny points of light, subtle, fleeting, and deeply calming. Farther along your journey, imagine reaching a place where the soil becomes rich with minerals carried by rivers long ago. In these patches of earth, animals often gather to consume clay, a behavior known as geophagy. Parrots and macaws flock to these clay licks in vibrant, swirling groups, landing on exposed riverbanks in bursts of color. They nibble at the mineral-rich clay, balancing their diets and aiding digestion. Their presence fills the air with a flurry of wings, calls, and vibrant hues, creating a scene both lively and soothing, like nature painting with sound and color at once. As you picture these gatherings, imagine the gentle rise of morning mist drifting above the forest floor. In many parts of the Amazon, the early hours bring a cool haze that settles like a soft blanket over the ground. This mist enhances every scent: the aroma of flowering vines, the sweetness of ripe fruit, the earthy fragrance of damp bark, and the delicate perfume of blooming herbs. Breathing in this imaginary world feels like inhaling the calm essence of nature itself. Let your imagination wander now toward the forest's hidden caves, small, damp chambers carved by rivers or ancient geological shifts. Some caves shelter colonies of bats that sleep during the day in tight clusters, wrapped in the quiet darkness. Others hold small pools of water where cave fish glide silently. The air inside these caves feels cooler, denser, and still, offering a moment of hushed tranquility in contrast to the broader forest's constant motion. Leaving the caves behind, picture the forest returning to its bright, layered expanse. The sounds of insects and birds blend once more into a soft symphony. The air grows warm again. Sunlight filters in through gaps in the canopy, revealing tiny details: the shimmer of dewdrops clinging to leaves, the faint movement of ants on branches, the subtle sway of vines responding to a gentle breeze. As the day unfolds in this dreamlike world, imagine traveling beside a wide river that marks the boundary between different forest regions. The river's color may shift here, blending the darkness of Blackwater with the clarity of Clearwater streams. Along the banks, giant water lilies open their petals in stunning blooms. Some species of Amazonian water lilies have leaves so large they can support the weight of a small child. Their flowers begin as pure white, opening at dusk and attracting nocturnal beetles. By morning, the flowers close, changing color to pink as they prepare for their next cycle. This rhythm of opening and closing, brightening and fading, feels like a heartbeat pulsing through the river's calm surface. As night approaches once more, imagine looking up toward a sky framed by branches. The stars shimmer faintly above the canopy. The dark silhouettes of leaves sway gently, creating moving patterns against the night. The forest grows quiet in some places, while in others it hums with life, a balance of calm and motion that feels endlessly soothing. The deeper you drift into this ancient world, the more its quiet wonders reveal themselves. The Amazon is a place shaped by countless delicate interactions: water flowing through roots, soil feeding new growth, animals scattering seeds, flowers opening to moonlight, and trees rising over centuries into the century. Sky. All of it unfolds in continuous, soft harmony. As your thoughts drift deeper into this vast emerald realm, imagine entering one of the rainforest's most intricate landscapes, the zones where water and land merge into soft, shifting mosaics. These are the places where rivers weave among trees, where roots rise like ancient sculptures, and where the boundaries between forest and water seem to fade completely into one another. Picture a calm tributary winding lazily through dense vegetation. The water is dark and reflective, mirroring branches and sky in shimmering ribbons. Beneath the surface, countless fish glide through submerged forests, weaving between roots and drifting leaves. Some of these fish are tiny, darting through the water like living sparks. Others are slow-moving giants that have swum through these channels for centuries. In this world, every ripple seems to carry a memory of something ancient. As you follow this river deeper, imagine the slow movement of a manatee near the surface. These gentle, round-bodied creatures drift like floating clouds beneath the water, grazing on aquatic plants with quiet grace. Their movements are slow and unhurried, almost meditative, as though they embody the forest's calm spirit. Manatees rise every few minutes to breathe, breaking the surface with soft, steady exhales that create delicate rings expanding outward toward the riverbanks. Now consider the forest's tallest residents again. Not the Brazil nut trees or capocs this time, but the towering ceiba trees scattered across the landscape. Their trunks rise with immense strength, broad at the base and narrowing gradually as they ascend toward the canopy. Many CABA trees are considered sacred by indigenous communities, who view them as channels between earth and sky. Their enormous root systems form buttresses that spread outward like wings, creating hidden alcoves large enough for small animals to shelter inside. Standing at the foot of a ceiba feels like standing before a living monument, carved by centuries of growth and shaped by the rhythms of countless seasons. Far above the ground, high in the canopy, another world unfolds. This upper layer is home to animals that rarely descend canopy-only species that live their entire lives among sunlit branches. Birds like the paradise tanager flicker through the leaves in flashes of electric blue, green, and red. Their colors glow even brighter in the filtered light, making them look almost unreal. Woolly monkeys swing between trees with thick, cushioned tails that help them balance as they move gracefully from branch to branch. Up here, the world feels brighter, warmer, and filled with gentle breezes that never touch the forest floor. As you glide through this imagined canopy, picture the delicate movements of hummingbirds sipping nectar from flowers. These tiny birds beat their wings so quickly that they appear to hover in stillness. Each wing beat creates a faint hum, blending into the soft chorus of rustling leaves and distant calls. Some hummingbird species are so small they weigh less than a coin, yet they navigate this complex world with effortless mastery, their movements forming an intricate dance with blossoms that open specifically for them. Below the canopy, mid-level branches create the perfect environment for another extraordinary species, the cotton-top tamarin. With their bright white fan-like crests of hair, these tiny monkeys look almost regal as they leap through the trees. They communicate with chirps and trills so high-pitched that many fall above the range of human hearing. Their social groups move with gentle cohesion, supporting one another as they search for insects, fruits, and flowers. Watching them feels like witnessing a family woven tightly into the rhythm of the forest. Deeper into your journey, the forest begins to reveal more elusive creatures. One such species is the giant anteater, found occasionally near open patches or along wide forest trails. Its long snout and bushy tail give it a unique silhouette as it moves deliberately in search of ants and termites. Giant anteaters rely on powerful claws to tear open insect mounds, then use their long, sticky tongues to gather their food. Even in movement, they carry a slow, dignified presence that blends beautifully with the Amazon's peaceful atmosphere. Now imagine entering a region rich with medicinal plants. Many of these plants have been studied for generations by indigenous communities who pass their knowledge through stories, songs, and hands-on practice. Leaves that soothe discomfort, roots that support recovery, barks that calm the body, all part of a vast library of natural remedies. Some plants bloom at certain times of year, while others reveal their properties only after careful preparation. The knowledge surrounding them is deeply tied to the culture and history of the people who live here, forming a bridge between humanity and the forest's boundless intricacy. The Amazon is also home to some of the world's most fascinating insects. Imagine a trail of marching leafcutter ants winding along a branch, each ant carrying a perfectly cut fragment of leaf. These ants transport the leaves back to their nests, where they cultivate gardens of fungus, the primary food source for the colony. Their teamwork is astonishing. Entire highways form along the forest floor, with different castes of ants performing different roles. Some guard the line from predators. Others clear obstacles. Smaller ants ride on the leaf fragments themselves to protect them from harmful fungi. Watching them is like observing a living, moving tapestry of cooperation. Nearby, beetles shimmer in metallic greens, golds, and blues. Stick insects mimic twigs so perfectly that even the breeze swaying them seems part of the illusion. Moths emerge with wings that resemble owl eyes, startling predators with sudden flashes of pattern. Each insect contributes to the forest's pulse, pollinating flowers, breaking down decaying matter, or acting as food for birds, small mammals, and amphibians. As your thoughts drift along, imagine reaching a small forest pool where amphibians gather. Some frogs perch on leaves above the water, their skin glistening in shades of emerald, tangerine, or sapphire. Others rest along the pool's edges, camouflaged perfectly against the moss-covered stones. Their calls echo softly, some chirping, some trilling, some forming long, melodic tones that blend into a layered, nocturnal harmony. The Amazon is home to hundreds of frog species, each adapted to a unique environment. Some live in trees, some in flooded forests, and others in tiny droplets of water inside bromeliad leaves. Each species plays a role in the intricate web of life surrounding them. Let your imagination shift toward another extraordinary region, the Varzea floodplains. These areas transform dramatically with the seasons. During high water, trees stand in shimmering pools that reflect the sky. Fish swim between trunks. Birds perch on branches that now hover above water instead of solid ground. The entire ecosystem becomes a floating forest, shaped by rhythms that rise and fall in gentle cycles. As the water recedes, the land reemerges, revealing soft soil rich with nutrients. Plants bloom in abundance. Animals return to forage on the newly exposed ground. This endless transformation gives the Amazon a sense of breathing expansion and contraction, movement and stillness, repeated through the centuries. As dusk approaches in your imagined journey, picture the forest changing once again. A soft amber glow filters through the trees, casting long, delicate shadows. Birds begin to quieten, each returning to its nest or roost. The air cools slightly, carrying gentle breezes that rustle the canopy. Fireflies begin to flicker between branches, their tiny lights drifting like scattered stars. Night brings a new set of voices. The steady chorus of insects grows louder, forming a soft, continuous hum. Owls awaken and glide through the darkness with wings so silent they leave no trace of their passage. Bats weave between branches, seeking fruits and insects as they move in gentle arcs above the forest floor. Their presence is subtle and calming, part of the nighttime rhythm that guides the Amazon into deeper stillness. Picture the moonlight filtering down through the canopy now, turning leaves into silver silhouettes. Roots and vines cast long, flowing shadows across the ground. The river glimmers in faint reflections. Somewhere in the distance, you might imagine the quiet splash of a caiman slipping into the water, or the gentle exhale of a dolphin rising for air. These sounds mingle with the night chorus, creating a world both serene and alive. The Amazon at night feels infinite, a soft, enveloping quiet filled with whispers, breaths, and gentle movement. Every creature plays its part, from the smallest glowing beetle to the distant flutter of a night bird's wings. Everything fits together with perfect natural timing. As your thoughts drift deeper into this vast, layered dream of green and water and quiet movement, imagine entering one of the rarest yet most enchanting parts of the rainforest, the places where ancient stories linger in the air, where every stone, vine, and ripple seems to hold the memory of those who walked these lands long before any written record. Picture the forest thinning slightly as you approach a wide, meandering river whose surface reflects the sky like a liquid mirror. The riverbanks rise gently, forming soft curves carpeted with ferns and delicate ground plants. Along these banks, some of the Amazon's most remarkable creatures leave subtle traces, paw prints in the mud, scattered fruits, or small indentations from hooves. These quiet signs hint at nighttime passage, tapirs wandering softly through the shallows, deer moving in graceful silence, and occasionally even jaguars stepping with calm, assured precision. Imagine the forest just moments before dawn. A cool haze blankets the world, clinging to branches and settling between the trunks like a pale veil. This mist softens every color, turning greens into silvery tones and making the air feel thick with ancient quiet. The dawn chorus begins as faint, tentative calls, a distant chirp, a soft flutter of wings, the isolated murmur of water shifting over stones. Slowly, the chorus builds. Parrots awaken with their familiar screeches, toucans croak from high branches, and small songbirds fill the air with threads of melody that weave together like delicate strands of silk. As the first true light filters through the canopy, imagine the Amazon's massive trees appearing in slow detail. Their bark glistens with dew. Tiny droplets hang from the ends of leaves, trembling with the slight movement of morning breezes. The forest floor glows softly as the sunlight reaches down in narrow beams, illuminating small pockets of life scattered across the earth. In this morning light, one of the Amazon's most unusual animals may emerge, the tamandua. Smaller and more arboreal than the giant anteater, the tamandua moves between branches with surprising grace for a creature built for strength. Its elongated snout and long, curved claws are perfect for reaching hidden insects inside narrow crevices. Watching it explore a tree trunk feels like witnessing a slow, thoughtful dance, gentle, deliberate, and perfectly suited to the rhythm of the forest. Nearby, a colony of howler monkeys may begin their morning calls, their deep, resonant roars echoing across vast distances. These calls are among the loudest of any land animal, yet in the context of the rainforest, they feel oddly soothing, a deep, grounding sound that signals the start of a new day. The howlers themselves move with calm purpose, grooming one another, gathering leaves, and navigating branches with practiced ease. As you wander deeper into the forest in this imagined morning, you might encounter one of the Amazon's lesser-known marvels, the leaf-mimicking katydid. Its wings resemble leaves so perfectly complete with veins, small imperfections, and even the appearance of decay that you could stare right at it without noticing. These katydids produce gentle, rhythmic chirps that join the ambient soundscape of the forest, adding a soft, pulsing harmony to the world around you. Their presence is a reminder of how many Amazonian creatures survive not through strength or speed, but through the art of remaining unseen. Continue drifting through the trees and imagine stumbling upon a small grove filled with heliconia plants. Their bright sculptural flowers stand in bold contrast to the surrounding greens, brilliant reds, oranges, yellows, and pinks, shaped like elegant, elongated cups. These flowers are beloved by hummingbirds, who hover in front of them with wings beating in rapid, shimmering blurs. Each bird dips its slender beak into the flower's center, drinking nectar while dusting its feathers with pollen. Their movements are quick but delicate, forming momentary bursts of color that vanish into the trees with barely a sound. Now let your mind settle toward the forest floor again, where another remarkable creature sometimes appears, the peccary. These pig-like animals travel in groups, communicating with soft grunts as they forage for roots and fallen fruits. Their presence is peaceful, steady, and grounded. Occasionally, a troop will pause at a clay lick to feed on mineral-rich soil, just as parrots do. In the soft morning light, their dark coats and sturdy forms blend beautifully with the muted colors of the forest floor. As you wander, imagine hearing the light rustle of wings above you, perhaps from a flock of hoatzins perched near a riverbank. The hoatzin is one of the Amazon's strangest birds, sometimes called the stink bird due to its unusual digestive system, which ferments vegetation much like a cow's stomach. Its chicks possess small claws on their wings, allowing them to climb branches before they learn to fly. These birds move slowly, croaking softly as they shift from one branch to the next. They seem like relics from another time, carrying hints of ancient ancestry in their form and behavior. Imagine now a narrow stream cutting through the forest, shallow and clear, revealing stones smoothed by decades of water. Along this stream, small turtles bask in rays of sunlight that pierce the canopy. Their patterned shells glisten with moisture, and their eyes close gently as they soak in the warmth. Turtles in the Amazon are part of a delicate seasonal rhythm, laying eggs on sandy banks during specific times of the year, burying them carefully before returning to the water. When the eggs hatch, tiny hatchlings make their way to the river in miniature journeys that mirror the timeless cycles of their ancestors. Let your thoughts travel next to one of the Amazon's hidden emerald worlds, the region around the headwaters of the Tapajos River. These waters are famous for their clarity, revealing underwater landscapes that look like floating gardens. Through the still surface, you might imagine seeing schools of fish with vivid markings gliding through sunlit water, yellow and black stripes, shimmering silver bodies, or bright red tails that flash in sudden motion before disappearing behind submerged roots. Some of these fish form part of ancient lineages that have flourished in the Amazon basin for millions of years. In the quiet shallows, you may picture the archerfish hunting insects. These remarkable fish can shoot precise streams of water at leaves above the surface, knocking insects down with stunning accuracy. Observing them feels like watching a tiny scientist at work, each shot carefully measured, every movement perfectly adapted to its unique environment. As you continue drifting, you enter one of the rarest microhabitats of all, the canopy bromeliad gardens. Bromeliads collect rainwater in their cupped leaves, forming small pools that serve as miniature ecosystems. Some of these pools host tiny crustaceans, small frogs, or even aquatic insect larvae. This canopy world, suspended dozens of meters above the ground, feels like a network of tiny rain-fed lakes floating among the branches, each holding life that may never touch the forest floor. Around midday in this imagined world, the forest hum deepens into a steady, warm rhythm. Insects fly lazily through sunbeams. Lizards bask on sunlit logs. Snakes, both small and large, find warm rocks where they can rest undisturbed. The Amazon is home to an astonishing variety of snakes, from harmless vine snakes with slender bodies blending into branches to larger species like the anaconda resting along riverbanks in pools of cool water. Even these powerful creatures move gently, breathing slowly, embodying the calm of the forest. As your thoughts drift further, imagine reaching a quiet open patch where the canopy lifts just enough for large birds to glide gracefully. One such bird is the black-collared hawk, known for its striking plumage and its habit of fishing. With keen eyes, it spots prey near the river surface, swooping down with precision. Its wings create a soft rush of air, and its talons skim the water's surface, capturing its meal before returning to perch. Observing this bird's movements feels like watching a fluid blend of strength and calm, an expression of pure, natural grace. In the shadows nearby, the forest floor reveals more subtle beauty. Clusters of mushrooms emerging from soft earth, fungi growing in starburst patterns across logs, or coral-like structures rising in delicate prow. Ivory shapes. Some fungi glow faintly in the dark, creating ethereal green lights that dot the forest like tiny lanterns. This quiet bioluminescence adds a dreamlike quality to nighttime wanderings, calm, soft, and otherworldly. As afternoon gives way to evening, imagine climbing once again to the canopy. The setting sun paints the sky in hues of gold and rose, turning treetops into glowing silhouettes. Flocks of parrots fly overhead, their colorful feathers catching the last light. Monkeys settle into branches for the night. The forest grows quieter, preparing for the calm embrace of darkness. And as night falls, the Amazon reveals its gentlest self, a world of quiet breaths, faint rustling, distant calls, and the soft glow of fireflies drifting like stars fallen from the sky. As your thoughts drift even further into this soft green world, imagine stepping into one of the deepest, most secluded regions of the Amazon, a place where the forest grows denser, the air feels older, and the sounds become so layered that they blur gently into one continuous, soothing rhythm. Here, the canopy rises like a vast living ceiling, interlocking branches forming archways overhead. The filtered sunlight shifts in slow, dancing patterns on the forest floor. Every few moments, leaves tremble as something small moves between them, perhaps a beetle with shimmering metallic wings, or a tiny lizard that disappears so quickly you're not quite sure if it was ever there at all. Down in these dim, cool hallways of vegetation, time seems to stretch into calm, unbroken stillness. Imagine pausing beside a towering kapok tree whose roots rise into elegant fluted structures. The buttress roots form sweeping walls of wood that cradle pockets of shadow, creating hidden spaces large enough to step inside. In these shadowed alcoves, the air feels cooler and carries a faint, earthy scent that seems to belong only to ancient forests. Small animals may rest here during the hottest hours of the day, insects seeking refuge, frogs clinging to moist bark, or even a quiet porcupine curling peacefully in the hollow formed by roots. The Amazon porcupine is a gentle, tree-dwelling creature with soft quills that glow pale yellow in the right light. It moves slowly among branches, rarely rushing, feeding on tender leaves and fruits. When it curls into a ball high above the ground, it looks almost like a sphere of moss or bark. Imagining its slow movements adds a sense of tranquility, as though it carries a piece of the forest's calm with it wherever it goes. Continue drifting through the trees and imagine the faint rustle of wings from a pair of greenback trogons perched quietly on a branch. These birds have deep, serene eyes and feathers that shimmer in the filtered light. Their calls are soft, gentle repeats, low notes that echo through the understory like small bells. Trogons sit patiently for long moments before launching into short flights to snatch insects from the air. Their movements are smooth, controlled, and soothing to watch. As you walk deeper into this imagined landscape, you may begin to sense the subtle vibration of the forest's insect world. Cicadas pulse in waves of rising and falling hums. Crickets maintain a steady rhythm beneath the chorus. Occasionally, a sudden burst of noise comes from a rustle in the leaves, perhaps a giant grasshopper shifting position or a small gecko slipping between stems. All of these tiny sounds blend into a soft blanket of auditory texture that wraps around you, calming and immersive. Picture now the forest shifting subtly into a wetter region, where the ground becomes softer and the air grows heavier with humidity. Small streams cup through the soil, their water flowing in gentle trickles over smooth stones. Along these streams you might imagine patches of moss glowing bright green, as though lit from within. This moss clings to fallen logs, stones, and roots, creating a carpet that cushions every step. The air smells fresh, a blend of running water, cool earth, and the faint, sweet scent of distant flowers. Near one such stream, imagine spotting the Amazonian giant centipede, a creature both feared and admired for its size and speed. Yet in this peaceful vision, it becomes a symbol not of fear, but of how deeply specialized life here can be. It moves in smooth, coordinated waves of tiny legs, disappearing beneath a fallen branch in an instant. Its brief appearance reminds you that even the most unusual creatures play their part in the rainforest's enduring balance. Continue along the stream and picture stepping into a clearing where the canopy opens just enough to create a pool of warm, golden light. In this clearing, delicate plants flourish clusters of passion flowers, their intricate petals spiraling in elegant shapes. These flowers attract butterflies with elaborate wing patterns, some patterned like stained glass, others with shimmering iridescent tones that shift gently as they move. The air here feels almost magical, filled with slow, drifting wings and the faint, perfumed scent of blooming vines. At the edge of this clearing, imagine hearing the faint tapping of a woodpecker. Its rhythmic knocks echo softly through the forest as it searches for insects hidden beneath bark. Some Amazonian woodpeckers have brilliant red crests that glow in the sunlight, while others blend perfectly into the mottled texture of trees. Their knocking is steady, comforting another repeating note in the rainforest's endlessly unfolding song. Let your mind wander next to one of the Amazon's quiet giants, the tapir. These gentle, patient herbivores move through the forest with surprising grace, their rounded bodies navigating dense vegetation with little noise. Their flexible snouts sniff the air delicately as they forage for leaves and fruit. A tapir cooling itself in a shallow stream becomes a serene picture water, rippling softly around its body as it takes slow, steady breaths. Tapirs often travel at dusk or dawn, times when the forest feels particularly mystical, filled with half-light and soft movement. As the imagined day warms, the forest above becomes more active. Birds of all sizes move through the canopy. Saffron toucanets glide from branch to branch, their yellow and green feathers blending with sunlit leaves. Scarlet macaws streak across the sky in pairs, their calls ringing brightly through the open spaces. A group of oropondolas weaves nests in the crooks of tall branches, their hanging structures swaying gently like woven pendulums. Every species adds its own rhythm to the scene, transforming the canopy into a tapestry of motion and sound. Look higher still, and imagine the majestic harpy eagle soaring above the treetops. With powerful wings and intense eyes, the harpy is one of the rainforest's most impressive birds. It perches silently on thick branches, watching the forest with quiet intelligence. Even imagining its presence brings a feeling of awe, a reminder of the strength and mystery woven into the Amazon's fabric. Now, picture the afternoon settling into a softer hue. The light becomes warmer, turning the edges of leaves into thin lines of gold. This is when some of the Amazon's most elusive creatures appear, species so rarely seen that even scientists may only catch glimpses. One such creature is the short-eared dog, a shy and enigmatic animal that glides through shadows with movements so fluid they barely disturb the underbrush. Its presence is felt rather than seen, a gentle rustle, a flash of fur, then silence again. As you continue drifting through this imagined forest, imagine finding yourself in a grove filled with towering palm trees. Their fronds stretch outward in wide fans, rustling with each passing breeze. Sunlight flickers between them, creating shifting patterns on the forest floor. Many Amazonian palm species produce fruit that sustains animals' year-round ripe clusters that fall with soft thuds, attracting monkeys, birds, rodents, and even insects. The rhythm of fruit ripening and falling is one of the forest's most dependable cycles, marking time in a landscape otherwise shaped by constant change. As the afternoon deepens, soft clouds drift overhead, and the forest begins to cool. The scent of damp soil grows stronger. Shadows lengthen. In some places, the air trembles with the distant calls of tinamous shy-ground birds, whose clear, whistling notes echo hauntingly through the trees. Their voices seem to carry a sense of ancient serenity, floating through the forest with a clarity that feels both grounding and dreamlike. Near dusk, imagine coming upon a hidden lagoon. The water is still, reflecting the colors of the setting sky. At its edges, thick vegetation leans toward the mirror-like surface, dipping leaves into the water. Dragonflies hover above the lagoon in soft, darting patterns, their wings catching the gentle, fading light. Small ripples appear as fish rise to take insects. Occasionally, the faint nose of a caiman breaks the surface, barely disturbing the calm. As darkness settles, the lagoon becomes a world of reflections, tree silhouettes against a deepening sky, the faint glow of fireflies weaving across the water, and stars emerging one by one in the gaps above the canopy. The forest hum deepens into a warm, continuous vibration, soothing and steady. This nighttime world feels infinite, a place where the rainforest's breath becomes your own, slow and gentle. Each sound, each flicker of light, each movement among the leaves brings a deeper sense of peace. As your thoughts drift ever deeper into this vast and ancient landscape, imagine the forest taking on a new character, darker, richer, and even more mysterious. Here, the trees grow closer together, their trunks rising like pillars in a timeless cathedral. Vines twist in slow spirals around them, forming natural arches. The air is thick with moisture, carrying a cool stillness that settles gently against your skin. You take a breath, and it feels like inhaling a soft, green silence. This part of the Amazon is where the forest seems to fold inward, creating hidden worlds within worlds. Imagine stepping into a region filled with strangler figs, their intertwining roots forming lattices so intricate they resemble woven sculptures. Birds nest inside these natural structures. Frogs cling to crevices damp with moss. Tiny spiders weave delicate webs that glimmer faintly when touched by a stray beam of light. It feels as though the forest is crafting its own art, piece by piece, in ways that only time and patience can reveal. In one of these shaded pockets, picture the soft flutter of a morpher butterfly drifting downward. Its wings flash electric blue, then fold into muted brown, a transformation so subtle it feels like watching a shifting patch of sky. These butterflies glide in slow arcs, catching light in fleeting shimmers, then disappearing into shadow. Even a single glimpse of one feels like a gift from the forest, a moment of grace that quiets the mind. Nearby, imagine the shifting rustle of a group of squirrel monkeys moving through the branches. Their tiny faces peek between leaves before the troop flits onward, jumping lightly from branch to branch with effortless agility. Their playful energy contrasts with the stillness below, yet they remain a soft presence more like floating whispers than loud intruders. Squirrel monkeys often travel in groups, weaving through the forest like a small community carried upon the trees. Their quick, harmonious movements add a gentle liveliness to the deep green calm. As you continue further, imagine coming upon an unexpected clearing, one illuminated by shafts of sunlight, angled just enough to reveal a hidden pool. The water here is crystal clear, fed by underground streams that push up through the forest floor. Along the water's edge, delicate white flowers bloom, their petals curling in slow spirals, opening only for a few hours each day. Dragonflies hover above the water, their translucent wings catching sunlight like fragments of glass. In this tranquil scene, you might imagine spotting a river dolphin gliding just beneath the surface. In certain tributaries, these dolphins explore narrow waterways, moving with an elegant slowness as if they belong equally to the water and the surrounding forest. Their pinkish hue glows in the filtered light when they surface for air. They seem to appear from nowhere, rise silently, breathe gently, then vanish again with a quiet ripple that fades into the pool's perfect calm. Leaving the pool, imagine stepping into a part of the forest marked by unusual geological formations, ancient sandstone outcrops covered in moss. Some formations resemble pillars, others arches, and still others tall, narrow walls that rise abruptly among the trees. Over countless years, roots have wrapped around these stones, creating living sculptures where plant and rock merge seamlessly. Small waterfalls trickle from cracks, feeding miniature streams. The sound of falling water is soft, almost melodic, adding a musical undertone to the forest's broader hum. As you follow these streams, the forest gradually opens into a region filled with giant ferns. Their fronds stretch outward like enormous fans, some reaching higher than an adult human. When breezes pass through, the ferns sway with graceful arcs, casting rippling shadows on the ground below. This area feels like a world frozen in time, a place where the primal nature of the rainforest becomes clear, where the ancient lineage of plants stretches back to eras long before humanity walked the earth. As midday drifts forward, the forest shifts again. Now imagine the soft rustle of feathers as a pair of kingfishers dart across a narrow river. Their plumage glows in shades of turquoise, orange, and white, flashing like jewels as they skim the water. With precise movements, they dive toward the surface, emerging moments later with tiny fish in their beaks. Their swift motions feel like sparks in an otherwise slow-moving world. Not far from the riverbank, picture a small group of capuchin monkeys gathered around a fallen tree. They use their expressive hands to turn over leaves, crack open seeds, and tap on hollow logs to search for insects. Capuchins are known for their intelligence and curiosity, and here, in this quiet part of the forest, you might imagine them studying you with bright, inquisitive eyes, before continuing their foraging as though you belonged naturally to their world. Imagine now the deeper water of an oxbow lake, a calm, crescent-shaped basin formed by the shifting path of a river long ago. The surface of the lake glimmers softly, broken only by occasional ripples. Beneath the still water, fish move in leisurely patterns. Along the edges, lilies float with perfect symmetry, their round leaves resting gently on the surface. Sitting by such a lake brings a sense of deep peace, a pause in the forest's endless movement, a moment where time itself seems to breathe slowly and quietly. Imagine nightfall approaching once more. The last golden light filters through the trees, turning the forest into a patchwork of warming hues. Bats begin their nightly routine, flitting softly between branches. Their wings create faint breezes that stir leaves. Some species hover near flowers to collect nectar, their faces dusted with pollen that glows faintly in the fading light. You might imagine sitting by the edge of the forest as the stars begin to appear. The sky above the canopy darkens into deep shades of indigo. Fireflies emerge one by one, glowing with quiet pulses that appear, fade, and reappear in soft waves. The forest hum becomes deeper, not louder, but lower, more resonant, as nighttime insects awaken. In the far distance, the faint croak of a frog echoes across a stream. An owl's soft call drifts through the trees like a whisper. The night monkeys begin their gentle chirps high in the canopy. Every sound is subtle, balanced, and never overwhelming, a tapestry of tones designed by nature to ease the mind toward rest. Throughout this imagined world, the Amazon reveals itself not just as a place of life, but as a place of gentle rhythms, cycles of light and shadow, sound and silence, water and air, all unfolding with patient consistency. It is a place where the world feels quieter, slower, and more deliberate, a world that invites you to breathe a little deeper, let your thoughts soften, and drift further into calm. As your mind drifts further into this vast and intricate world, imagine the rainforest stretching out around you in every direction, a living continuity of trees, water, soil, and sky that seems to go on without end. The Amazon is not a single uniform forest, but a mosaic of many different landscapes, each with its own personality, its own subtle rhythms, and its own quiet resonances. Tonight, as you sink deeper into rest, you can let your thoughts wander slowly through these different realms, one by one. Picture yourself standing on the edge of a broad river island, one of the temporary sandbanks and vegetated islands that appear and disappear as the river changes course over time. These islands form from silt and sediments carried downstream, building up in the current until plants take root. At first, they host hardy grasses and small shrubs, but over years they accumulate bushes, young trees, and entire miniature forests. From a distance, an island may look like a simple patch of greenery in the water. Up close, it holds its own community of birds, insects, reptiles, and small mammals, each finding shelter among the plants. As you walk along the sand, your feet sink softly into the warm grains. The sound of the main river is steady and low, a deep, continuous rushing that feels almost like distant wind. Terns and gulls circle above the water, banking and turning as they search for fish. Along the shoreline, shorebirds pick delicately at the mud, leaving narrow strings of footprints that the next wave will gently erase. It's a landscape in constant motion, but the movement is slow, fluid, and soothing. Beyond the islands, Imagine following the river upstream to where it splits into countless braided channels. Here, the water moves in interwoven streams, separated by bars of sand, gravel, and vegetation. Trees tilt over the channels, their roots gripping the bank in twisting patterns. Some have fallen, forming natural bridges where insects cross and small lizards bask in the sunlight. The reflections on the water's surface are fragmented pieces of sky, leaves, and branches blending into shifting mosaics. You might see a black skimmer flying low over the water, its lower bill slicing the surface as it hunts for fish. Its unique feeding style creates a thin line of ripples behind it, like a quiet signature on the river. Watching it glide, wings outstretched, you sense how perfectly tuned it is to this world of water and light. As your perspective shifts, imagine stepping away from the wide rivers into a network of smaller streams, creeks, and channels that thread through the forest interior. Some are narrow enough to step across. Others widen just enough for a small canoe to pass. In these shaded waterways, the surface is often dappled with fallen leaves, petals, and tiny bits of bark drifting slowly along. Branches arch overhead, forming tunnels of greenery that turn the world into a gentle corridor of reflected light. In the stiller stretches, lily pads cluster at the edges, their round leaves overlapping like scales. Small frogs rest on them, watching for insects. Some frogs are pale green, blending with the lilies, others are boldly patterned. Occasionally, a fish rises to the surface with a soft plop, sending ripples outward that rock the floating leaves in slow, concentric circles. Now let yourself imagine ascending from the riverbanks back into the forest, this time into the more rugged terrain along the edges of the Andes, where the Amazon rises into foothills. Here, the land is no longer flat. Slopes and ridges shape the vegetation into new forms. Mountain-fed streams cascade downhill in clear, cool flows, carving channels through stone and soil. The forest clings to these slopes with determination, roots gripping rock, moss and ferns covering every damp surface. In this region, you might encounter cloud forest zones, where mist and low clouds drift through the trees, keeping the air perpetually moist. Moss hangs from branches like soft curtains. Epiphytes cling to every available surface, turning trunks and limbs into vertical gardens. The soundscape here includes not only insects and birds, but also the gentle, continuous murmur of water trickling, dripping, and flowing. It's a place where each breath feels rich and cool, infused with the scent of wet leaves and stone. Birds in the foothills can be astonishingly colorful. Tanagers, trogons, hummingbirds, and manakins all add their hues to this high, misty world. Manakins, in particular, perform elaborate courtship dances on forest floors and low branches. Some hop rapidly along a branch, others perform quick, precise steps on a carefully cleared patch of ground. Their movements are fast yet controlled, like tiny, rehearsed performances hidden in the shadows. As you imagine watching one of these dances, you might notice how quiet the forest otherwise is in that moment. The surrounding trees seem to lean in, holding the air still so that the sound of wings, the scrape of tiny feet, and the faint calls of the displaying bird can be heard clearly. Even these small ceremonies become part of the rainforest's broader rhythm, repeated season after season, generation after generation. From the foothills, let your thoughts glide back down into the deep lowland forests, this time focusing on the hidden subterranean side of the Amazon. Beneath the visible roots and soil lies a world of tunnels, burrows, and chambers carved by animals over time. Armadillos dig dens where they rest during the hottest parts of the day. Other mammals create complex underground rooms used for raising young or storing food. Insects, worms, and countless small organisms move constantly through the soil, aerating it and breaking down organic matter. Fungi thread their delicate filaments through this underground world, forming networks that connect multiple plants. Nutrients move along these pathways in subtle, persistent flows. Some trees share resources through these fungal connections, feeding seedlings, supporting neighbors in times of scarcity, or distributing minerals absorbed from patches of rich soil. You can imagine this unseen layer as a kind of gentle, glowing web spread beneath your feet, connecting one living being to another in quietly coordinated pulses. Above ground, the visible forest reflects this underground cooperation. Trees of different ages share space saplings in the understory, taller juveniles reaching toward gaps in the canopy, and giant elders towering above them. Lianas link trunks together. Epiphytes perch in the branches. Moss and lichens form soft patches on bark. Every layer of the forest is occupied by some form of life, and each layer supports the next. Now imagine pausing beside a giant tree whose trunk is wide enough that it would take several people, arms outstretched, to encircle it. Its bark is textured with grooves and ridges that have accumulated over decades or centuries. Small plants grow in those grooves, their roots tucked into pockets where rainwater collects. Ants march in busy lines along the bark, carrying food back toward a hidden nest. High above, birds rest among the branches, invisible from the ground but audible through their calls. You reach out in your imagination and rest your hand gently against the bark. It feels cool and solid, its surface faintly damp from the humid air. You sense the immense age of this tree, the way it has stood through countless rainy seasons, countless cycles of blooming and fruiting, countless arrivals and departures of animals that made this forest their home. The tree is a living archive of time, holding memories in rings of wood, in the layers of soil its roots have touched, in the countless seeds it has released into the world. As the day turns slowly toward evening again, picture the forest shifting into that familiar, soothing twilight. The quality of light changes, becoming softer, warmer, and more diffuse. Birds settle. Monkeys find their sleeping trees. The energy of the forest gently lowers, like a deep exhale. At ground level, this is the time when some of the Amazon's smallest mammals become active. Tiny rodents emerge from hidden burrows to feed on fallen seeds and fruits. Their delicate feet make almost no sound on the leaf litter. Their ears and whiskers twitch at every noise. To a human observer, they may be nearly invisible, glimpsed only as quick movements at the edges of perception. But to the forest, their work of scattering seeds and shaping plant communities is essential. In the canopy, night monkeys with large, reflective eyes begin their foraging. They move carefully among branches, using soft calls to stay in contact with family members. Their silhouettes slip gracefully through the darkening leaves, forming shifting shapes against the deepening sky. Their nocturnal world feels intimate and hushed, as though the forest were lit only by the glint of their eyes and the faint shimmer of moonlight on leaves. As true darkness arrives, the stars appear wherever the canopy opens to the sky. In some spots along rivers or clearings, you can imagine looking up to see the Milky Way stretching across the heavens, a soft, luminous band, mirrored faintly by the glimmer of water below. Insects continue their chorus, now even more prominent as other sounds quieten. The night breeze moves gently through foliage, creating a soft, repeating rustle that merges with the distant echo of flowing water. You might imagine yourself lying in a hammock suspended between two trees at the edge of the forest, listening to this soundscape. The fabric cradles you, the air smells of leaves and earth. Above, the canopy forms a dark frame around patches of stars. Around you, fireflies drift in slow, blowing arcs. Somewhere not too far away, an owl calls again, its voice low and steady. The whole scene feels like a lullaby composed not by a single instrument, but by an entire living world. In this state, surrounded by the imagined Amazon, it becomes easy to feel how deeply everything is connected. Rivers to rain, leaves to soil, animals to plants, roots to fungi, trees to sky. The rainforest is not just a collection of species, it is a continuous, flowing pattern of relationships, each one quietly supporting the others. Let your breathing match this rhythm slow, even, unhurried. Inhale as you picture the forest drawing in moisture from the air, water from the ground, light from the sky. Exhale as you imagine leaves relaxing, roots resting, animals curling into sleep. The Amazon, in all its complexity, settles nightly into a calm, steady pulse. And as you rest here in thought, in imagination, in the gentle company of this endless green, you can allow your own thoughts to become simpler, softer, and quieter. There is nothing you need to solve, nowhere you need to go. Only the slow unfolding of the forest and the easy deepening of your own rest. As your mind settles even more deeply into this soft, green dream, imagine that night has passed in the Amazon and a new dawn is slowly brightening the horizon. The forest does not wake all at once. Instead, it stirs in gentle layers, like a great symphony rising from silence. In the very first hints of light, when the sky is only beginning to fade from indigo to pale blue, you might imagine the quiet waters of a back channel, a slow-moving arm of the river, sheltered by overhanging trees. Mist rests just above the surface like a thin, floating veil. The world here is still, as if waiting for the first breath of day. A single bird call breaks the silence. Then another answers from deeper in the forest. Soon the air fills with soft, overlapping notes, whistles, trills, and rising phrases from species you may never see, but whose presence you can feel in the sound alone. The forest is not rushing into day instead. It unfolds gradually, letting the morning arrive in a calm, measured way. Along the banks of this quiet channel, imagine the soft slide of something large moving just beneath the surface. It might be an anaconda, one of the Amazon's most powerful snakes. Despite its reputation, in this still, gentle moment, the anaconda is simply part of the slow rhythm of the river. It glides through the water with fluid grace, its patterned body disappearing into dark reflections of leaves and branches. It does not thrash or startle. It moves as the river moves, steady, unhurried, ancient. You might picture a great blue heron or a kukoi heron standing in the shallows nearby, balanced on long legs, perfectly still. These birds can stand motionless for long periods, watching for small fish to pass within reach. Their patience mirrors the calm of the morning around them, a quiet focus, a deep coexistence with the river's slow pulse. As the sky grows brighter, you drift with your imagination further along the waterway and into one of the Amazon's hidden oxbow lakes again, this time at first light. The surface of the lake is almost perfectly flat, a mirror reflecting sky, clouds, and the dark silhouettes of trees. A pair of hoatzins clamber in the overhanging branches, rustling leaves with their clumsy movements. They fan their wings, shuffle along branches, and utter soft, croaking calls. Their ancient lineage and unusual appearance make them feel like visitors from another time, settled comfortably in this modern forest. On the far side of the lake, you might notice a narrow wooden canoe pulled up onto the mud. It is simple and slender, carved from a single tree trunk. Details like this are quiet signs of human presence, reminders that, along rivers and lakes like these, people have lived with and within the forest for thousands of years. The Amazon is home to many indigenous communities who understand its cycles with a depth that comes only from long, continuous relationship. You might imagine one small riverside village, a collection of wooden houses on stilts, raised to stay above seasonal floods. Roofs are thatched with palm leaves. Narrow wooden walkways run between homes. A few canoes are tied along the muddy bank, rocking gently on small waves. There is no rush here either, only the steady daily rhythm of life, shaped by the flow of the river and the timing of the forest. In your imagination, you see smoke rising softly from a cooking fire in the early morning. Children help gather water from the river in large containers. Adults mend nets, carve paddles, or prepare to set out into the forest to gather fruits and plants. Their knowledge of the forest is detailed and specific: which trees fruit in which months, where certain fish gather during different water levels, which plants can soothe discomfort, and which ones must be avoided. This knowledge is not written in books. It is passed through stories, through practice, and through careful observation repeated over generations. You might picture a small group setting off by canoe, paddling quietly along the river's edge. They move in near silence, disturbing neither birds nor fish. Their path winds through low-hanging branches, past floating hyacinths and clusters of reeds. This gentle journey has been made countless times before, and the forest around them recognizes it as part of its own rhythm. As your thoughts drift along with them, imagine the canoe gliding into a broader channel where the river widens. Here, the water feels deeper and more powerful. River dolphins surface now and then, their smooth backs breaking the surface with soft, breathy exhales. They seem curious, sometimes approaching boats closely, sometimes staying at a distance, always part of the river's quiet mystery. The Amazon's waters are home to countless fish species, from tiny, shimmering tetras to powerful hunters like the peacock bass, with their bold patterns and vivid colors. In some darker side channels, electric eels sense their surroundings by generating faint electrical fields, navigating and hunting in murky water where light cannot reach. Their presence adds another invisible layer to this world, a dimension of perception built not on sight or sound, but on electricity. You may imagine the piranha, often dramatized in stories, but in reality, simply another piece of the Amazon's complex food web. These fish feed on insects, small fish, and occasional scraps. They move in groups, their silver bodies glinting in passing beams of light that slip between overhanging branches. In this calm, dreamlike vision, they are not the terrors of myths, but part of the balanced, unhurried rhythm of the river. Leaving the water, your imagination returns once more to the forest interior. Now, you might focus on the subtle human traces that appear deep in the trees. A narrow path used by hunters, a small garden cleared among the understory plants, or a cluster of fruit trees planted deliberately to encourage animals to visit. These hints remind you that the Amazon is not an untouched wilderness. It is a living place where humans have long been part of the story, adapting to the forest while also influencing it in ways both obvious and invisible. Some communities build houses along the rivers, Others live deeper within the forest, away from the water's edge. Some groups maintain close contact with the outside world, while others choose limited contact, preserving ways of life rooted more strongly in older traditions. Each community has its own languages, stories, and explanations for the rhythms of rain, animal migrations, and plant cycles. In many of these stories, animals are teachers, rivers are pathways, and the forest itself is a guardian, a presence woven through every aspect of life. Imagine now a small, simple research station tucked along a bend in the river, just a few modest buildings raised on stilts, with a wooden dock extending into the water. Scientists come here to study the Amazon's plants, animals, insects, soils, and waterways. They rise early to listen to birds, set up camera traps along animal trails, collect water samples, or observe pollinators visiting flowers. Their work often involves long hours of patient watching and careful recording, a kind of modern echo of the forest's own quiet patience. You might imagine the biologist carefully climbing a canopy tower at dawn, step by step, ascending through layers of leaves until they emerge above the treetops. From there, they can see the forest spreading to the horizon in all directions, an endless sea of green broken only by the ribbon of the river and the occasional rise of distant hills. Up here, the air feels different, lighter, brighter, alive with birds that never descend to the ground. In another part of the forest, a botanist walks slowly along a trail, pausing at each unusual plant. They note the shape of leaves, the scent of crushed bark, the way flowers open at certain times of day. Sometimes they're accompanied by a local guide whose knowledge extends well beyond Latin names and classifications. Someone who can say, "This leaf is used to soothe a sting," or "This bark is boiled to make a drink when someone feels weak." Together, scientific and traditional knowledge weave a fuller picture of the rainforest's living library. As your mind floats along these scenes, let your attention return to the minute details that fill every inch of the Amazon. Ants farming aphids on a stem, a spider's web beaded with dew between two leaves, a single flower opening at dusk, timed precisely to when a certain moth species emerges to feed. In a small hollow of a tree, a tiny bat sleeps upside down, wrapped in its own wings. On the underside of a broad leaf, a praying mantis sways gently as though imitating the motion of the plant in the breeze. Perhaps you imagine walking through a patch of forest where light filters down in particularly soft beams, filling the air with glowing dust motes and tiny drifting insects. The ground is covered in a thick layer of leaves in every shade of brown, gold, and deep red. Each fallen leaf is part of a continuous cycle, eventually broken down by fungi and insects. Its nutrients return to the soil to feed new growth. You might picture kneeling to move aside a handful of these leaves, revealing damp earth alive with movement. Springtails hopping, tiny beetles scurrying, thread-like roots tracing intricate paths through the soil. The Amazon's complexity can never be fully seen all at once. It's revealed moment by moment, layer by layer, in small, almost hidden interactions. A bee visits a flower and leaves with pollen clinging to its legs. A fish eats a fallen fruit and carries its seeds downstream. A monkey drops a half-eaten nut, which is buried by a rodent, which forgets it, and a new tree begins to grow. Each action is small and simple, but together they form the quiet mechanics of a living world. As the imagined day draws once more toward evening, you can feel the forest's energy lowering again, not stopping, but softening. The air cools. Shadows lengthen between trunks. the sky above the canopy turns from bright blue to softer shades of amber and rose. Flocks of parrots race homeward, their calls echoing like joyful shouts against the dimming sky. Egrets and herons fly in single file along the river, wings beating in slow, graceful strokes. You might return, in your mind, to that hammock by the river's edge. The wooden posts that support it are warmed from the day's heat, but the fabric beneath you feels cool as it cradles your weight. You sway gently, in time with the faint movement of the air. Before you, the river continues its endless journey, carrying leaves, seeds, and reflections onward. Behind you, the forest breathes a soft, steady breathing made of insects, frogs, distant calls, and a slow settling of branches for the night. In this moment, you are surrounded by trees that have stood for centuries, by waters that have flowed for millennia, by patterns of life that have repeated, adapted, and transformed over unimaginable spans of time. And yet, everything around you feels simple and quiet. A breeze, a ripple, a sound in the leaves, a feeling of deep safety, as though the world is gently holding you. Let your thoughts grow lighter, less detailed. Let the forest blur slightly at the edges, like a painting softening under a gentle fog. You no longer need to follow every sound or identify every animal. You can just rest in the sense of the Amazon itself, a vast, reassuring presence of green, water, and sky. A place where the world moves at a natural pace, and where you are allowed, fully and completely, to drift. Each breath you take can match that rhythm, in and out, like the river flowing, like the trees swaying, like day turning to night and night to day, again and again. If your mind wants to wander back through any part of this rainforest, the rivers, the trees, the villages, the animals, the soft glowing nights, it can. The Amazon will still be there, in your imagination, patiently unfolding, ready to carry you gently a little deeper into sleep. As your thoughts drift deeper into this long and gentle journey, imagine the rainforest beginning to expand around you once more, not in size, but in depth, as though each layer you've passed through opens into another, softer, more intricate world. The Amazon is endless not only in distance, but in detail, and as you sink further into its calm, you discover yet another collection of quiet marvels waiting beneath the canopy. Picture yourself standing at the edge of a hidden glade, a circular clearing surrounded by tall trees, whose branches curve overhead like a protective ring. Sunlight falls here in delicate golden beams, illuminating floating dust motes that drift like tiny particles of light. The ground is soft with moss and fallen leaves. Blossoms hang from low branches, forming gentle arches of pale pink and cream. This place feels untouched, as though it exists only between breaths, hidden from all but those who move slowly enough to find it. In this tranquil light, you might imagine seeing a small brocket deer step quietly from behind a cluster of ferns. These shy deer are among the forest's most delicate inhabitants, moving with soft, precise steps that barely disturb the leaf litter. Their large eyes flicker with curiosity and caution as they browse for fallen fruit. For a moment, the deer lifts its head and seems to listen to the world far beyond your hearing. Then it disappears again into the soft green shadows, leaving behind only the memory of its gentle presence. As you leave the clearing, imagine following a narrow pathway marked not by humans, but by the subtle patterns of wildlife. This trail curves gently between clusters of palms, passing beneath low branches draped with vines. Along its edges, small ground cover plants glow with morning dew, their leaves sparkling like tiny jewels. The Amazon is rich with plants that thrive in these dappled, shifting patterns of light, plants that open and close in rhythm with sun and shade, that unfurl slowly after rain, that curl inward in the quiet of night. Among these plants you might picture the bright green fronds of maidenhair ferns rising in delicate sprays. Their thin stems sway with even the faintest breeze, creating a soft flicker of movement along the path. Orchids cling to the bark of nearby trees, their petals trembling gently. Bromeliads perch high above in the crooks of branches, holding small pools of water in their central cups. These miniature reservoirs host tiny worlds of their own insect larvae, small crustaceans, and sometimes even tiny frogs whose entire lives unfold inside these self-contained ecosystems. And then, as you walk, imagine hearing a rustle from above, a soft, rhythmic swish of fur brushing leaves. High in the branches, a saki monkey moves through the canopy. These monkeys have thick coats and expressive eyes, and they travel with an elegance that feels both purposeful and unhurried. They pause to feed on fruits, seeds, or insects, using nimble hands to open tough pods. A family group may travel together, each member calling softly to ensure they remain in contact. Their presence adds a warm, social layer to the forest's quiet symphony. Deeper into the forest, you might come across a wide, twisting tree whose roots form arches and hollows large enough to walk beneath. This is a walking palm, a tree with stilt-like roots that seem to step outward from the trunk in multiple directions. While legends once claimed that these palms could walk across the forest floor by growing new roots and shedding old ones, their true nature is simply a unique adaptation to unstable soils and changing light conditions. Even so, their appearance feels whimsical and dreamlike, as if the forest itself has crafted these structures to enchant the wandering mind. Now imagine the trees beginning to recede as you approach a gentle slope leading toward open floodplain forests. Here, the vegetation thins enough for more sunlight to reach the ground. The air feels warmer. Birds appear in greater numbers, flycatchers darting after insects, tamagers hopping among low branches, and parakeets congregating by the dozens in noisy bursts of color and sound. The light in this region has a warm, amber quality, filtering through clusters of broad leaves and illuminating the forest in soft, glowing tones. Along the slope, you may find the unmistakable circular mounds of leafcutter ant colonies. These colonies are vast, intricate societies where millions of individuals work in harmonious coordination. Some ants cut leaves from distant trees. Others transport these leafy fragments along wide, well-worn trails. Still others tend the internal fungus gardens that form the colony's primary food source. The organization is astonishing, a nearly perfect system of cooperation and purpose. Watching them move along their miniature highways feels like observing a living, flowing river of tiny workers, each one carrying its own small piece of the forest's future. As the slope levels out, imagine arriving at a quiet backwater pool, fed by a slow, steady trickle from a nearby stream. The water here is calm, almost glassy, reflecting overhanging vegetation with perfect clarity. At the edges of the pool, giant snails move slowly across submerged leaves. Small, freshwater crustaceans scuffle across the mud below, and in the shallows, you may picture the world's smallest fish species that shimmer like flecks of gold or silver as they dart between pockets of light and shadow. Nearby, the forest floor hosts another hidden marvel, the giant millipede. Though its size may surprise you, its movements are calm and rhythmic. It glides slowly across the leaf litter, curling gently around roots and fallen twigs. Its presence is not threatening only another quiet participant in the forest's endless cycle of decomposition and renewal. Its many legs move in coordinated waves, creating a hypnotic, soothing pattern. As midday arrives in your imagined journey, the forest's warmth deepens. Cicadas hum in rising and falling waves. Birds shift into shaded branches. A soft haze settles over distant trees. But even in this heat, the Amazon never becomes harsh or overwhelming in this dreamlike world. It simply changes tempo, slowing into a warm, steady vibration. Picture yourself reaching a grove where massive boulders rise from the forest floor. These stones are covered in moss and lichen, giving them a faint green glow. Some have been split by ancient tree roots, their cracks forming narrow passageways where small animals seek shelter. Water trickles down their sides, collecting in shallow basins that reflect the canopy above. This is one of the Amazon's quieter sanctuaries, a place where sound and motion soften into gentle, natural patterns. In the shade of these boulders, you might see a tree frog perched on a damp patch of stone. Its skin is bright, almost luminous, patterned in intricate designs that help it blend into its surroundings. When it breathes, its body expands and contracts slowly, matching the rhythm of the forest's gentle pulse. You may notice how even in stillness these small creatures seem completely at home, as if they are part of the stone, the moss, the water, the light. As the imagined day stretches onward, the forest gradually shifts toward afternoon. Shadows lengthen again. Sunbeams pierce through occasional openings in the canopy, casting warm, golden pools on the ground. In one such pool of light, you might imagine the group of coatis rummaging through leaves. Their long snouts search for insects and fallen fruits. Their striped tails wave gently as they move in a coordinated group. Their playful curiosity brings a sense of gentle levity to the forest, like a soft burst of motion in an otherwise tranquil world. Farther along, you step into a narrow river corridor where the water flows quietly beneath overhanging lean trees. Here, kingfishers patrol the banks, launching themselves from branches in precise, dazzling dives. Their wings beat in sharp, controlled strokes. Their calls are bright and clear, echoing lightly across the water. When they return to their branches with their catch, droplets scatter in tiny arcs of silver light. As you drift along this corridor in your imagination, the scenery shifts once more now into one of the Amazon's most remote and ancient regions. The headwaters of tributaries hidden beneath dense, untouched forest. These waters are so clear that you can see smooth stones at the bottom and tiny fish gliding like drifting threads of light. Overhanging ferns brush the surface. Vines trail down in elegant curves. Occasional waterfalls cascade from mossy ledges, creating gentle, sparkling curtains that break the stillness with soft, rhythmic sounds. In this timeless place, you might picture a giant river otter sliding into the water. These otters are social, intelligent, and playful. They call to one another with chirps and whistles, communicating constantly as they move through the river. Their coats gleam in the light, shimmering bronze as they dive, twist, and surface again. Watching them feels like witnessing joy itself, expressed in movement, in companionship, in the simple pleasure of swimming through cool, living water. As evening approaches, the colors of the forest shift again now into deeper, softer hues. The light grows more diffuse. Shadows stretch long and graceful across the ground. Birds gather in groups before settling for the night. A low, warm breeze drifts through the leaves, carrying the faint scents of flowers that open only at dusk. As the daylight fades, you find yourself back along the edge of the forest, near a wide bend in the river where the sky is unobstructed. The clouds glow with fading purples and rose tones. A few stars begin to appear in the gaps between branches. Fireflies drift through the dimming air, flickering gently like floating embers. The forest hum deepens into a low, soothing drone. A chorus of insects' distant calls and the soft rustle of animals moving through the underbrush. Here, at the edge of night, the forest feels both vast and comforting, an endless world full of life, yet quiet enough to ease every thought in your mind. You breathe, and the rainforest breathes with you. Slow, steady, peaceful. As your journey through the Amazon drifts into its final, softest stretch, imagine that night has fully settled over the rainforest. The sky above the canopy is deep and dark, a velvet backdrop scattered with distant stars. The Milky Way arches faintly overhead, just visible through breaks in the trees. Far below, in the forest's shaded interior, the world has shifted into its nighttime rhythm, calm, patterned, and endlessly gentle. You find yourself once again near the river, not on its busy daytime banks, but in a quiet, tucked-away inlet where the water moves so slowly it almost seems still. The surface reflects patches of sky, the silhouettes of leaning trees, and occasional glows from hovering fireflies. Their lights blink in soft pulses, appearing and fading like sleepy thoughts drifting in and out of awareness. The air here is warm, but not heavy. It wraps around you like a comforting blanket, carrying the faint sense of damp earth, wood, and distant blossoms. Somewhere in the forest behind you, a frog calls with a clear, repeating note. Another answers. A third joins. Soon, a whole choir of frogs fills the darkness with layered, delicate voices. None of them are loud. None of them are hurried. Each call rises and falls at its own pace, creating a gentle, irregular rhythm that your mind begins to follow without effort. You step or simply float in your imagination closer to the water's edge. The mud is cool and soft beneath your feet. In the shallows, you can see small fish flickering like shadows among submerged roots. Every now and then, one breaks the surface with a tiny splash, sending out a ring of ripples that travel slowly outward before disappearing into stillness again. Above the water, long roots and branches hang like curtains. Some are wrapped in moss. Others hold clusters of bromeliads or dangling vines. A bat flits past, almost invisible, its motion marked only by the brief outline of wings against the dim sky. It vanishes as quickly as it appeared, leaving behind only the faintest whisper of disturbed air. In this soft, muted world, the rainforest feels quieter than at any other time yet. If you listen closely, it's still full of life. Crickets chirp from hidden corners. Distant nightjars call with slow, soothing notes. In the canopy, a night monkey moves through the branches with patient care, its large eyes glowing gently in what little light filters down. Every sound is separated by stretches of calm, giving your thoughts space to breathe. You follow an invisible path along the river until you arrive at a small, natural landing, a smooth patch of ground beneath two tall trees that stand side by side. Between them hangs a simple woven hammock, its fibers pale and worn, as if it has been waiting here for a very long time. The hammock sways slightly in the evening breeze, inviting you closer with a quiet, steady motion, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. In your mind, you settle into it. The fabric cradles you, supporting every curve, every weight. every quiet shift. As you lie back, you feel the gentle pull of the hammock as it rocks you in slow, comfortable arcs, just like the soft movement of a canoe on still water. Above you, branches cross and overlap, forming a kind of natural ceiling. Beyond them, patches of sky reveal scattered stars, some bright, some faint, all of them calm and steady. The forest continues its quiet song. A distant owl calls, then waits. Leaves rustle with a small passing breeze, then fall still again. Somewhere nearby, a small splash marks the moment a fish or caiman slips from the bank into the water. The sound is soft, rounded, and quickly swallowed by the night. You begin to notice your own breathing now slow and even, like the river's current. In and out, in and out. Each breath feels a little deeper, a little more relaxed, as though the forest's rhythm is gently syncing with your own. With every exhale, a bit more tension flows away, dissolving into the warm air like mist. As you rest in the hammock, your mind wanders lightly through everything you've seen in this long journey through the Amazon. You remember the towering kapok trees with their soaring trunks and buttress roots, anchoring the forest like gentle giants rooted in centuries. You recall the flooded forests, where trees stood in shimmering water and pink river dolphins moved between submerged branches. You think of the leafcutter ants marching in endless lines, carrying pieces of green that will become food for their hidden fungal gardens. You picture blue morpho butterflies drifting through shafts of sunlight, sloths resting high in the canopy, and the deep, resonant calls of howler monkeys rolling like distant thunder through the trees. These memories aren't sharp images anymore. They've softened around the edges, blending into each other like watercolor paints meeting on wet paper. A fragment of the tree trunk merges into the shape of a river. The pattern of a jaguar's rosettes dissolves into the spotted light on the forest floor. The gleam of a frog's skin becomes a firefly's glow, then turns into a reflection in a still pool. Everything you've seen in this imaginary rainforest becomes one continuous, gentle impression, a warm sense of life and motion, of ancientness and ease. Your breathing stays slow. The hammock keeps rocking. Above you, a shooting star crosses the narrow slice of sky, visible between the branches. It's gone almost as soon as you notice it, leaving behind only a faint suggestion of movement in your memory. The river below reflects the stars as tiny trembling lights on the surface, broken whenever a leaf touches the water or a small insect lands and hovers. In the distance, beyond the trees, the wider forest stretches in every direction. Over there, in the dark, tapirs might be grazing quietly. Jaguars might be moving with silent certainty along hidden paths. Armadillos may be digging in the leaf litter. Ocelots might be watching from the shadows with calm, steady eyes. Above them, hundreds of birds rest on branches, heads tucked under wings, their day's energy surrendered to the night. High in bromeliad pools, tiny tadpoles continue their slow transformations. Deep beneath the soil, roots share nutrients through networks of fungi, carefully distributing what each tree needs. The rainforest doesn't stop in your absence. It continues to breathe and move, but at this hour, it does so with the lightest of touches. You don't need to follow all these details anymore. You can simply know that they are there, a vast, interconnected web of beings and stories, all flowing together under the same sky, all held within the same warm darkness. The knowledge itself becomes soothing, like a soft weight that settles comfortably on your thoughts, reassuring and quiet. The hammock sways. The river moves. The air hums with faint insect voices, like the quietest possible static, smoothed and softened, until it feels more like silence than sound. You might imagine closing your eyes fully now, if they weren't already heavy. Behind your eyelids, the forest remains not in sharp images, but as a feeling. A sense of deep green, of gentle water, of old trees and slow time. A feeling of being very, very small in a very, very peaceful world, and yet completely safe, completely held. In this softened space, your thoughts grow simpler. One moment, you're aware of the hammock's gentle sway. The next, you're drifting through the canopy again, above the trees, weightless and quiet. Then you're looking down at the braided rivers, the floodplains, the hidden lakes, the tiny islands forming and changing over years and centuries. Everything you see feels unhurried. Every change takes place at a pace too slow to disturb your rest. You no longer have to remember where you began this journey or how many scenes you've passed through. Somewhere along the way, the path stopped being a path and became more like a calm, flowing stream of impressions, details washing gently over you, then sliding away into comfortable darkness. Each one makes you a little heavier in the best possible way, like sand, settling layer by layer at the bottom of a river, finding stillness at last. The forest's nighttime orchestra continues in the background, but its sounds are softer now, further away, like echoes from another room. Frog calls, insect hum, leaves stirring, water lapping gently against roots and stones. A distant bird giving one last sleepy note. Above, the stars slowly wheel across the sky, though you don't need to track their movement. The earth turns, the forest turns with it. The river goes on flowing. The trees go on breathing. And you simply rest, carried along by the same slow, ancient rhythm. If any thought rises something from outside this rainforest, something from your day or your week, it can drift in like a leaf on the river, float past you and slide away around a bend. You don't need to grab it. You don't need to push it away. You can just let it move on, gently and naturally, until all that remains is the soft feeling of being here, in this calm, star-dusted forest night. You might feel your body sinking a little deeper into the hammock, now muscles unwinding jaw, loosening shoulders, dropping hands, relaxing feet, letting go of any last traces of tension. Your breathing stays slow and steady, each inhale smoothing out the edges of your awareness, each exhale carrying you one step closer to sleep. The Amazon around you has settled into its deepest quiet. The animals that needed to move have found their resting spots. The predators that needed to hunt have faded into the shadows. Even the insects seem to hum more softly now, like they too are winding down after a long, warm day. Somewhere in the distance, a branch creaks gently as it sways, then falls silent. A few leaves drift down, landing on the forest floor without a sound. A frog makes one final call and then grows quiet. The river murmurs beneath it all, constant and low, like the faintest whisper saying, "It's all right. You can rest now. Just rest in your mind." The rainforest becomes simpler and simpler. No longer separate trees, animals, and rivers, but one seamless, vast lullaby made of green and water, stars. Its rhythm matches your own. Its calm becomes your calm. You feel yourself drifting a little farther, and a little farther thoughts spacing out, like trees thinning along a riverbank. The space between them grows wider, filled with nothing but darkness and comfort and soft, easy silence. Until finally, there is no need to listen, no need to imagine, no need to follow any more details at all. There is only breathing and warmth and the faint impression of a hammock gently rocking in a quiet Amazon night as you slip, slowly and peacefully, into sleep.